What's going on, everybody? Danny here, and today we are talking about Parasyte. Finally got and sat down, read it. Read it in one sitting, actually. I was surprised that it was only, 64 chapters? Which, I don't know, I always thought there was a lot more. I know there's the anime that's out. I know the live-action adaptations there as well. So it has the full treatment for a popular series, right? I don't know. I just thought there was going to be a lot more than what we got. But regardless, really good. Yeah, it's just one of those. It's one of those mangas that that I never really got into because I'm just you find what you like right early on, and then you kind of just like, well, for me, seinen, I got that later down the line of when I just consumed manga daily. Right, so it's a good refresher to see, and I'm really glad that I read it. Plus, like, just to talk about real quick, the art style is really great too. You can tell like what era this manga is from based on the art style, right? We got the near blank background, simplistic, minimal shading, and just yeah, in a sense, simple designs for the characters, right, of its time. But it definitely has its own charm to it, especially later down the line when our main character decides to change hairstyles. I thought was pretty great for it, too. That's when it really reminded me of a more shonen aspect to it because, he does get a, spoilers, a power-up, essentially, to his own body. And yeah, I think that's just really good. Like, the art really complements the story. So that's pretty good in itself. But yeah, anyways, yeah, 64 chapters, main premise. These, I guess, aliens or whatever come into the world, and their goal is to latch onto humans. They come into this parasitic snake-like form and try to get into the head of the host and take over the body, pretty much. But of course, it being a manga doesn't always work like that. So this was also a monthly manga. I'm seeing here because it's from 1988 to 95. Interesting. So yeah, it clearly tells what era it is in. But yeah, so we have our main character, Shinichi, and he gets attacked by one of these parasites, who is later given a nickname, Migi. Main reason because he failed to take over the body, right? Shinkichi woke up and he's like, whoa, what is this? Tied on, a rubber, like, tube or whatever around his arm to stop the blood circulation. He couldn't get through up to the brain, and now he is stuck as Shinkichi's right arm. And that's the only thing he can control, and they can shapeshift into what they want. And all the other parasites took over the head successfully, and that's what they've done. And so now we are seeing our main character stuck with a parasite on his right arm that is studying human knowledge. And of course, it's unclear if this is a alien or whatever because he doesn't really know. Part of the whole process of this is that, he sort of lost his memory before taking over the arm, right? Classic manga tropes, right? And then, they fight other parasites because they're like, wait a minute, this guy's defective. He failed to take the body. Well, might as well get rid of him. And that's pretty much the premise is Shinchiki's just, stuck between trying to live a normal life and also willingly deciding whether or not to hunt down these parasites. And parasites themselves get pretty interesting, especially with the main character on the parasite side, right? Reiko Tamura, right? That was the name of the body. And she becomes, in a sense, distracted, right? Because she brings up like, we all have this inert feeling to eradicate humans. That happened for a long time in the series, a lot longer than I expected it to be, especially when society started understanding what was going on. You know, that part really. I mean, sure, I guess at the times, it was different. Late '80s is what I'm assuming this is based off of, right? No, but just to see how it's just like, oh, they called it the mincemeat massacres, and for a long time, they didn't. Nobody really knew what was going on until the change point, right? When Shinshiki he gets like that upgrade, you could say, right? And that's when we started like seeing like, oh, people are slowly discovering the truth that these are parasites. Okay, it comes at the appropriate time for the pace of the manga based on the story plot, but still, it's like you would have thought at one point our main character would have stumbled across somebody who knows what's going on, understands what's wrong with his right arm, and try to fight him. I thought for sure something like that was going to happen. But unfortunately, it did not. So that's, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just, like I said, it goes well with what the story was trying to do. But I don't know, I just felt like, man, really nobody understands that these are parasites. And eventually the parasites got smart because Reiko decided to group them together, which is another interesting thing because Miki losing his memory, he doesn't truly understand how parasites work. So it is such a shock to our main characters that like, whoa, wait, why are all these parasites, grouping up together, hanging out, making plans, being part of human society? It was such a big shock and surprise to our main characters. And I think it was supposed to be for us too, but eventually we get the answer to why, and it's like, oh, it makes perfect sense. And plus, that would literally be the only way to keep this story interesting and engaging for the audience, right? So there's also that aspect. But yeah, I mean, cast is pretty strong, like all the characters, for the most part. Oh man, there was, I forget her name. I have to look it up. But there is 2 female characters that are interested in our boy Shinichi, and one of them is from a different school. Let's see if I could pull it up right here on the wiki. And then she ends up somehow developing a psychic power. And yes, okay, so her name is Kana Kimishima. And at first she was just, I guess she was dating this delinquent guy that was beating up a classmate of Shinichi's. Yeah, Shinichi. And I guess because like, oh man, this guy's different, And I think this was the time. Yeah, this is before he got pretty much a power up. So he's weak, he's getting his ass whooped. And she's like, but see, there was just a certain charm about him that she really dug. And then eventually she ends up falling in love with him, or having a crush or whatever you want to call it. And also at the same time develops some sort of psychic ability that's able to sense Migi, right? So these parasites, they have this thing where they have a 300-meter radius, and if another parasite enters that radius, they can sense them. And she somehow developed that power as well, to the point where she sensed, her range was getting farther and farther, and then to the point of also sending out signals. So that is, I don't know, it doesn't explain it, because again, I think if you want to delve into that more, it's reminiscent of Gantz, to pull aside real quick, right? When we get into the introduction of psychic users in that series and seeing that expand more, Unfortunately, yeah, you can't do that here because, again, it's only 64 chapters. If the mangaka wanted to delve into that more, you would have to expand the story. You get into other arcs, and again, that could also tie into, say, a conflict with our boy about like, hey, something's weird about your right arm, and then they fight. So then he ends up fighting a psychic or something. Finding a human that's on par with Parasytes. You know, it's just a surprise that we haven't seen anything like that. And I guess that's understandable, right? Because the story's solely focused on this prefecture of Japan that Shinichi lives in. It doesn't delve into other countries, other prefectures. And sure, he'll go to neighboring towns and there'll be some there, and then, I think at the end he goes into some mountain area far away from, heavy populated cities. But again, at that point, it's like, yeah, he doesn't really expand the world as far as, I'm pretty sure, just that one prefecture in Japan. So I guess, yeah, try not to add too many characters in here that can handle parasites, because if that's the case, then our main character becomes less important, and plus him having Migi in a sense also puts the fact like, okay, now we have two characters in a sense that can handle these parasites, especially when, let's see, I'm trying to think of, that had to be, yeah, that was after, yeah. Especially after like a really big turning point for Shinichi's character, and then he almost dies. He gets revived by Migi, and then, in a sense, fuses with him for the most part, and becomes stronger. So now he's on par, right? He didn't even need Migi at one point to kill a parasite. So now you have him being a superpowered human with Migi. Pretty much they're a tag team. So maybe adding a third character, I don't think it's a little too much, because that's in a sense your Sasuke, quote unquote, your bro, basically, right? Your Chad or Uryu for Ichigo, even Renji in a sense, like having a comrade like that could have been fine here. But then, yeah, maybe that expands the story as well. I don't know. I think it could have been interesting in the last arc. But who knows? But regardless, yeah, other than that, yeah, so pretty much Shinichi's just the only one fighting all these parasites. And we get into the mindset of what these parasites want. There's not a lot of variations in different types of parasites for their character traits anyway. Except Reiko, she's pretty much really the only one that's different, aside from Goto, which, in his name, Go 5, he has 5 parasites in one body, which is just like, whoa, that's crazy. How is he doing that? And they really don't get too much into that either, but he's like the final boss anyways, so it's interesting how they handle him with that as well. But yeah, everybody else was just generic, like, oh, gotta eat, we're started learning about human society so that way we could feed easier. They had this systematic organization, in a sense, a community of all these parasites. And then, you get to the point where the military comes in, and then a sort of twist that happens with one of the parasites, anyways, that's leading the community, that I wasn't expecting, which was pretty cool to see. Nice little shake-up. But again, I think, I don't know, I enjoy the manga for the most part, right? Part of me wishes, yeah, maybe this could have been a little longer, delve into more situations and just try to build on that. I think there could have been a lot here. This could have been definitely more than 60. This could have been easily double the chapters and still have the same quality to it, just more in-depth in the lore. Because really, at the end of the day, you don't really learn much about the parasites, which I guess that's not the point of the manga, right? The point of the manga is understanding what these parasites are, and the parasites themselves understanding what they are. And there's a good arc that really encapsulates that, captures that whole thought and idea with Reiko, of all people, which was really good to see. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. about Parasyte other than, yeah, go read it. You know, I think there's some really good, like the art style alone I thought was great. Um, it sucks to see, spoiler, what was her name? Kana go. You know, she was a really interesting character. Well, not really interesting, but I liked her design a lot. You know, because you know you really can't do much with the whole high school tropes with these characters, but what they did with her character design was really good. So I enjoyed that. But yeah, Parasyte was a good read. Go check it out if you haven't already. Haven't checked. Okay, so I haven't checked the anime or the live action, but I did hear a clip of Miki's voice, and I was like, whoa, I was not picturing that kind of high pitchedness to his voice when I was reading it. I don't know, like the whole, like, I don't know, like kid friendly voice, I guess you could say. I just wasn't picturing that. That caught me off guard from the clip I heard, but yeah, no, go check it out, guys. I think it's a good read for sure. And yeah, again, like it's a monthly manga, so you know, I read it in one sitting, surprisingly. You know, I kind of like just pushed myself a little to do it, but you guys can too. And with that, I will be hopping in to the next thing on my list, which is, I believe it's called The Breaker. I believe it's a manhwa. I'll find out when I check it out. But looking forward to that. And then, of course, catching up on those Arrow reviews pretty soon. Look out for episodes this week and the next. I know I've been slacking on that, but I'm hopping back on that. You know, busy schedules, holidays, all that good stuff. And main channel stuff, yeah, you know, it's been a good while, but we're going to try to get those big episodes out there for you guys. I've seen the emails, like I said last time, and we'll be looking out for that. And just, you know, a friendly reminder that ALA is the next convention. You know, it's coming up faster than we might realize, you know, a month and a half from now. So if you're going to that, you know, we're going to be there, and it's going to be a good time. So if you see us, you know, swing by, say hi as always. We'll be posted on the social media for that, which is at Unversed Podcast, anywhere you go. And, of course, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, what'd you think of Parasyte? If you've read it already, would love to hear your thoughts. That is unversedpodcast@gmail.com for the email. Thanks for listening, as always, guys. And until next time, we will catch you later.
Cha-da-da-da, 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 chan cha-da-da-da, chan cha-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, chan chan。ジャックが仲間になった。